I mean, we've all been talking about it, but between funnel clouds and sheets of rain and traffic, I mean, you guys are the tough among the tough. I'm Morgan Caroll. I want to thank you very, very much. Welcome you to Plumbers Local 3 and to our grassroots kickoff here. And specifically want to start by thanking Plumbers Local 3 and membership for being willing to host us and help us launch a successful kickoff for Colorado's 6th Congressional District. So let's hear it for the Plumbers. A few notes of particular things as we go through and give you a little bit of sense of what we're looking at on the campaign. But I specifically want to thank my life partner, Mike Weissman. Many of you know him as well. Our campaign team and volunteers who helped us with this, and I think many of you have joined today by also signing up to volunteer. Lisa Labriola is here as our volunteer coordinator, by the way. Jenny Donovan is over here. Lindsay is over here right next to Jenny as well, and Hashim is right over here. And then get to know our team, because I hope we will be doing a lot of work together in the future as we go forward. So if I missed any of the electeds, let me tell you who I know I've seen. And if you could just stand and raise quickly as I call your name. I'd love to thank you for being here. State Representative Diane Primavera. I know joined us from Broomfield. And Representative Steve Lebsack out of Adams County. Representative Sue Bryden, colleague from Aurora. Adams County Commissioner Ava Henry. Arapahoe County Commissioner Nancy Jackson. Commissioner Bill Holland. Where did you go, Bill? Okay. Let's see, and I think Councilwoman Debbie might have gone with him too, if they were in the same part of Debbie Hunter Holland. Representative Rhonda Fields. Representative Brittany Patterson. Did I forget any elected officials? Chaz. Of course I did. I just saw Chaz. Adams County Commissioner Chaz Tedesco. Thank you so much. Okay, so the real reason we're here is actually because of all of you. And this was a big decision to go into this. I did not undertake this decision lightly. It means a lot to me that you're here to support and obviously have a great turnout for tonight. Let me just tell you why I chose Plumbers Local 3, besides the fact that it is in district. As we are setting the stage for how we grow and rebuild a middle class, we know that in addition to raising a minimum wage, in addition to fighting for, you've heard the fight for 15 that's out there, but the question is how do we support rising wages at every level and not just at minimum wage levels? Many of you in here have become very, very aware of the income gap. And income inequality in this country has grown far more pronounced than really at most other periods of the history of this country. And when we have had the strongest middle class, it is because we have had the strongest organization for the rights of working people in labor. It is not a coincidence. We are going to get serious about putting America back to work and back to work at wages that you can actually pay your bills on, afford to have a home, maybe send your kids to college, and have a dignified, secure retirement. There is no way to do the process of lifting up wages for everyone if there isn't the power and ability for workers to organize on behalf of other workers and to lift tithes up on wages. I felt it was important that we pick our kickoff here in the House of Labor with the brothers and sisters here to make that point, because there is no path to a stronger middle class that doesn't go through, frankly, this road and this building. So a little bit of background. I've met a lot of you in a lot of different capacities. And I'm usually spending all my time talking about policy because that's what I get up and live and breathe for. But by background, I'm a third-generation Coloradan in the state. I have long, strong ties to the district that are here. So, you know, besides working and representing in this district in particular for 11 years and running and winning here, my mom graduated from high school in the district. She's living in the district now. You know, their small business was in Adams County growing up. She was in Douglas. My mom was in Douglas County for a while. And this matters because I think over the course of time, you build relationships and really get to know a community when you learn, work, and live in those communities. And these district ties, I think, are going to be very important to us. So when I was growing up, these are just life experiences that I think helped me understand and connect what people in the district are going through. For me, like some of you, I grew up with a loved one with a very serious disability. My dad had early and aggressive onset Parkinson's disease and early onset Alzheimer's. And what that meant, and that was from the time I started to see that progress from the time I was 2 on. And it's hard to watch a loved one struggle. But what I saw, and he was raised in the Depression, and after a lifetime of hard work and frugality and savings and retirement, what he experienced was that he lost really everything, all of his retirement, because of unpaid medical bills. And he was supposedly insured, and because some of the treatments or recommendations were maybe experimental or not covered, and by the time you're done with chronic and acute treatment of somebody else, literally lost everything. Well, that's not unique. So it's hard to get a secure retirement in the first place. And like so many people in our district, one health misstep, no one plans on getting sick, no one really chooses it to happen. And you just really realize how unplanned, unpaid medical bills can really throw everything in a tailspin. For me, growing up, I'm used to working several jobs for most of my life, including now. I worked 2 or 3 jobs on the way through, and I've learned a lot by doing that. I'm not alone. A lot of you are or have been working multiple jobs, and that's just what it takes. That experience of working 80 or more hours per week and still having a hard time paying the bills. I think that's where a lot of people are in the district, and I think it's important that in the real world, we face that reality. For me, growing up, some people may know the law background, and it's helpful to know laws when you're writing them. But in some ways, the most useful has not been that. The most useful has been life experience, where I was growing up delivering pizza. I worked at gas stations. I was working at a video store. When I was working fast food. And usually most of these in multiples at the same time. So I've worked minimum wage jobs. And that's an important experience, I think, if you want to represent people who are working hard to get by. I can tell you, you cannot work full-time at minimum wage and pay the bills. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's just not possible. And with these minimum wage jobs, and despite 2 to 3 jobs, I really didn't have health insurance, didn't have benefits, didn't have retirement. Well, that's becoming the norm for a lot of people in the district. I don't say that because it's unique. I say it sadly because it's not. And I see Dina that's here as well. For my mom, we went into private practice together, and we're one of the only mother-daughter law firms I had ever encountered. And I went to law school not because I needed a degree or a diploma on the law. I went to law school because my whole life I have believed in advocating for other people and their rights. And that doesn't start or stop with law school. I went to law school because I believe in fighting for people's rights. I ran for the legislature in the state house because I believe in fighting for people's rights. I ran for the Senate because I believe in fighting for people's rights. And yes, I've made the decision to run for the 6th Congressional District because I believe in fighting for people's rights. Many of us have followed different bills over a period of time, and some of you are very familiar with things we've done in the legislature. I fully expect that as we go through the course of this campaign, every campaign on this has gotten more ugly, more toxic, more distorted for what's out there. but let me just say I'm proud of my records. And I plan on running on my record. One of the things I think Colorado has done right is that we actually can get things done. And in the course of 11 years, in my time, just bills I've personally authored have been over 100 significant reforms passed in 11 years. And that includes, either directly, and then especially if you look at all the great colleagues we've worked with, we got lobbying reform done at the state level. We have improved campaign finance disclosures at the state level. We have done a Colorado Jobs First in state contracting at the state level. We ended the misuse of credit scoring, which was a terrible barrier for people getting back employed after the recession. We have done sentencing reform at the state level so that the cost it was taking us to incarcerate nonviolent offenders is getting reallocated through substance abuse treatment and mental health programs. And just recently, we got 7 new 24-hour mental health walk-in clinics, a 24-hour mental health hotline going. And you see why it's easy to be proud of a record like this, because they're real results and they actually affect people's lives. I see Tom, thank you for joining us here too. We got through comprehensive, the universal background checks in Colorado where we've been unable to give movement in DC. And I'm proud of what we have accomplished doing this. We've doubled the renewable energy, we've quadrupled rooftop solar, and it goes, you can see last year we took meaningful steps to roll back over testing of our kids in the system. So what these have in common, most of these reforms that have been very tough haven't really been led by lobbyists, they've been led by people. And they've been led by a lot of people here in this room helping us get these changes. And some of them have taken more than 1 year. But we got real reforms to improve and add rights for injured workers in the state of Colorado. And we have made progress on equality in this state. We updated our protections against anti-discrimination in the workplace. We have brought LGBT equality or closer to it. As far as recognizing adoption, and we were there with civil unions before our courts finally came through. So this is real significant accomplishment. And I say that not to say that that's happened alone, but let's contrast that with Congress for a minute. Right? And we've had to work to get these things done. Over 85% of the bills I've run have actually had bipartisan support. You can get things done. But the frustrating thing about Congress, and why I really had to think long and hard in the decision to do it, is I've seen what you've seen. Paralysis, shutdown, obstructionism, and under this, especially dual-led Republican Congress, we have seen an utter failure to get results. And I mean failure to get results. If you look at what has actually been done and passed, this will go down in history as one of the least productive Congresses ever since our founders created a Congress for us to have in this country. And here's the danger. People might start getting used to it. They might just think that that's the way it is. Hey, no one in Congress is ever going to get anything done. We can't do anything about it. It's not going to make any difference. It's the feudalism of that futility of like, wow, they're all like that. It doesn't make a difference who you vote for. And if we start to accept that we don't deserve better, we are about ready to lose one of the most important institutions that have ever been created, frankly, in the face of this earth and this history. And so for me, there was just too much at stake. I'm not looking forward to being vilified and having multiple $1 million of Coke money coming after me. But at the other end of this, you're what makes this worth it. Our country is what makes this worth it. Our families are what make this worth it. And if that's what we have to go through in order to take our country back, then that's what we're going to do. You're worth it. So I'm not the only person here who has probably experienced some heartache before on CD6 and woken up and had high hopes and high dreams and woken up with heartache on this. I wanted to take a moment and tell you why we're going to win. and what we know. So obviously, a presidential year is a big deal and makes a big difference. But Barack Obama won CD6 in 2008. Barack Obama won CD6 in 2012. John Hickenlooper won CD6 in 2010. John Hickenlooper won CD6 in 2014. Michael Bennett won CD6 in 2010, and hopefully again in 2016. We have seen incredible local and state leaders get elected out of this district. It is doable, and so please don't let anyone tell you it's not. The moment we filed, the Cook Report moved it from a slight lean Republican seat, it's put into a toss-up, and we are nationally on the radar as one of the top 5 competitive seats in the country now. We have been working with Emily's List nationally. We will be a top targeted seat, and that's a mixed bag. It's good because they know what we know, which is this is a winnable district. What's difficult is it means that there will be a lot of money attracted to the race. I see my friend Evie Hudak, who knows what it's like to be the subject of very toxic, negative campaigning. But I plan on running a campaign on the issues. I feel like there is a compelling case to be made, not just on running on my record, but on running on the truth. And with your help, we will tell the truth. We will show people that there could not be a bigger difference in their choice of candidates between me and Mike Kaufman in Colorado's 6th Congressional District. So we can do this. Earlier, I lost Debbie, and thank you, Debbie, for all your help, but we can't do it without you. And these are hard, big campaigns to do, and we need to offset the very wealthy, well-connected, and Koch brothers and big corporations that are going to be funding the other side on this, and we do that by people power, and we do it through making what you can by way of a contribution, doing it recurring if you can, signing up to volunteer like I know a lot of you already have and are, and being willing to take the case directly to the voters. We have their interests in mind, and we're not going to accept paralysis and defeatism and obstructionism and do nothing for Congress when it comes to running and winning in the 6th Congressional District in 2016. So thank you. I hope you've eaten and drinking. And, you know, back that.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thanks, Wayne. Thank you guys for being here. Stick around and help us eat and drink.